Hi there, it's Mrs. Bridges, and we're going to do a science lesson here on the characteristics of the vertebrate groups. And actually, um, if you can remember from last week, our learning included the fact that we had five main groups of vertebrates that all have backbones: the birds, the fish, the mammals, the reptiles, and amphibians. So we talked a little bit about mammals for sure last week, and we touched on the birds and fish. And for sure in our science booklet we finished already, we studied reptiles and amphibians. But I thought this was a great chart to kind of put all on one page the different characteristics of each of these five groups of vertebrates. So let's talk about the birds first and what type of body covering the birds have. I think most of you would want to guess that they all have feathers. So I'm going to write feathers in here. Now, I don't know if you printed this out at your house and maybe you chose not to, or maybe you don't have a printer. But either way, you can follow along with Mrs. Bridges, and you can always watch this video again if you choose to do your own chart later as well. Or you can just watch and learn. As far as the blood of the birds, they want to know, is it warm-blooded or cold-blooded? And actually, the birds are warm-blooded, which means their inside body temperature is going to stay the same. Okay, so they have warm-blooded. Mrs. Burgess made a little mistake on her printing there. All right. The breathing, do they use their lungs to breathe, or do they use gills and water to breathe? And actually, the birds use lungs just like you and I do. So they breathe air using their lungs, and then we'll move on to the birth. Do their babies hatch from eggs, or are the babies born just straight out alive at birth? And these guys, I think most of you would probably imagine, and it's true, that birds hatch from eggs. For milk, do they drink milk from their mother, these baby birds? And is that something the mother bird can do? The answer is no. And I'm going to put no. They do not drink milk from their mother. Now, the backbone, it says, do animals in the group, the birds, have a skeleton with their backbone? And so we're going to say yes, they do, because they're part of the vertebrates. And let's talk about some examples of birds that we know of. So we've all heard of the robin. Let's see, actually penguins are considered a bird. And the ostrich, that was in one of the articles last week. The eagle, those are really cool to see. And there's so many other birds, but those are all that I fit in the box. Those are some great examples. Okay, let's go back to the fish. Let's go and talk about their covering. What do you think fish are covered with on their outside of their body? If you said scales, you are absolutely right. Fish are covered with scales. Are they cold-blooded or warm-blooded? What do you think? They're actually cold-blooded, which means that their inside body temperature is going to change based on where they are in the outside temperature around them. For their breathing, they actually use gills. So that's how they can breathe oxygen when they're in the water. And when their babies are born in the fish world, most of them hatch from eggs, but there's one exception, boys and girls. I'm going to put in parentheses, not the sharks. Sharks do not hatch from eggs, but most all the other fish do. For milk, do their mothers in the fish world give milk to the young? And the answer is no. And do the fish have a backbone? Of course they do. They are considered one of the 5 vertebrates. And vertebrates have backbones. Some examples of fish. Oh wow, there's a lot. But let's just say one of them is our shark. Another is a bass fish. There's a clownfish. And how about a goldfish? Mrs. Bridges had a goldfish when she was about your age. Okay, moving over to the next group of vertebrates, the mammals. We talked a little bit more about mammals last Monday. And mammals covering on their body is hair or fur. My dog Newton has hair. He's laying down right now, and he's taking a little nap while we do this. So Newton, my dog, would be a mammal. Okay, let's see. Blood. Are the mammals warm-blooded or cold-blooded? What do you think? So mammals are warm-blooded, so their inside temperature is going to stay the same no matter where they are. Their breathing, mammals use their lungs, again, just like we do, just like people. We breathe oxygen using our lungs. The birth, they are born alive, right from their mom. For milk, do the mammals produce milk? Yes, the mothers give milk to their babies. And a backbone for mammals, we know that they're vertebrates, so yes, we know they have a backbone. And then finally, some examples. We can say humans, you and I, boys and girls, are mammals. We also have a horse, is a mammal. Actually, a whale is a mammal. A mouse is a mammal. And there's so many mammals in the world, we just can't fit them all in that box. Let's go over to the 4th group of vertebrates, the reptiles. And you all studied this in our booklet of science. So on the outer covering of a reptile, they have scales. And they're actually cold-blooded. So their inside body temperature is going to change based on what's around them. For breathing, the reptiles use their lungs. When they're born, at birth, they hatch from eggs. Milk. Nope. Reptiles' mothers do not have milk to give to their babies. Yes, they have a backbone because reptiles are vertebrates. And we know that snakes are reptiles, a turtle, also a lizard, a tortoise. Those are some examples of reptiles. Now, to complete our chart, we've got one more group of vertebrates, amphibians, and we do know that we studied these as well. So let's see. Their covering is smooth skin. on amphibians. They are cold-blooded. Just like reptiles, they're cold-blooded. Their breathing is at, wow, they have two ways. So they're born with gills, and then they have lungs that develop later as they mature and get older. At birth, amphibians, as you could recall, they hatch from eggs. Their mothers do not have milk to give to the babies. Do they have a backbone? Yes, because they are one of our vertebrate groups. And finally, some examples of amphibians would be a frog, a toad, a salamander. I'm going to squeeze that in the box. So this is a grand list of the 5 characteristics of vertebrate groups. And it's a great one-page look at comparing similarities and differences between these 5 vertebrate groups. I hope this was a good review for you. And like I said before in the beginning of this video, if you choose to print this out and fill it out, that's fine. Maybe you already did it. And if you did not and you just watched the video, that is fine with Mrs. Bridges too. All right, thanks boys and girls. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.